Hey everybody, welcome to Meet the Leaders. We've got our very own Cooper McLaughlin, new team member in San Diego, opened a branch for us. How's it going, Cooper?
It's going really well, Steve. I mean, we're rocking and rolling. I mean, things fortunately have been, pretty busy, even a little more busy than I probably would have, appreciated. It's trying to keep everything organized with the move and everything else. But yeah, very, very good. Things are going well.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think you're on day like 38 or something like that. So kind of drinking through a fire hose still, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. And I guess since I jumped over here to Loan Depot first part of March, I mean, we've seen a pretty steady incline in rates as well, and lending programs modifying. I mean, all of that. So it is literally a fire hose right now with everything going on, and just the level of communication you have to have with business partners and clients, and trying to stay on top of, the licensing stuff and everything else. It's there's a lot going on.
Yeah, you're a professional juggler. Hey, for people that don't know you, how about sharing how you got into the business and a little bit about your background?
Yeah. So I kind of got in the business in a roundabout sort of way. I went to college down University of Miami, got a dual major, Bachelor of Science in Marine Sciences and Chemistry. And I worked out there on research vessels out at Miami, and then up in Vero Beach, Florida as well. Worked on one of the boats that had the submersible that found the Titanic.
No way.
Did all sorts of fun stuff. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So I wasn't on that particular cruise, but we had the same boat. So my job at that point was just to kind of go and make sure, all the equipment was working for the scientists, testing it out, then helping them with their experiments. So that's my background. I moved out here. My oldest brother was living out here in San Diego. Came out to visit, really loved it. Packed up my truck in the middle of a hurricane, broke up with the girl, the usual stuff, and just made my way. Just made San Diego, got here, realized that it was my place. Got a job doing clinical trial stuff for a company called Dura Pharmaceuticals. We were working on an asthma drug. Very quickly learned that marking the temperature of a fridge 5 times in a special notebook with a special kind of pen was not my cup of tea. So the clinical trials did not pan out. They gave us an opportunity to go to a different project. I, at that point, decided that I was going to move in a different direction, and just became a bouncer downtown at some of the nightclubs. So
you strike me as somebody that would like bounce people out too. I think you have it in you. You're the nicest man, but I think if somebody crosses you or needs to get bounced out, you don't have a problem with that, do you?
I was always really nice, and I think that's why I was so effective. But yeah, I mean, that stuff. As a young kid, you think you're invincible. Of course, that changes very quickly as soon as you have kids. But yeah, so I was down there working, just kind of biding my time, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, grad school or who knows what. And there was a regular that came in that had a mortgage company, and we'd always talk. He said, "What are you doing being a bouncer? You're way too smart for this gig. Why don't you come work for me?" And he kept bugging me, and I saw the cars he drove, and he seemed to be making good money. He was a nice guy. So I went over, jumped on board of his company. It was based out of Little Italy down in San Diego. And that's kind of where it all started. I mean, it was sink or swim. I got thrown in there. I got literally about 6 hours of training. And then he said, go out and get loans. So that's what I did. I taught myself how to use all the automated programs when they first came out. And in 7-8 months, I was teaching everyone in the office kind of how to do something. And I was the de facto trainer in regards to new programs and how to do the automated underwriting stuff, all of that. I jumped around a little bit to a couple other companies, and then made my way over to San Diego Loans, where me and my brother got a branch satellite office of our own, and kind of went out on my own on that. And then, 2009 hit, the crash. All our warehouse lines evaporated. We had opened a bar in that locked warehouse space. So I kind of jumped ship from the lending, not really by choice, but because I didn't have an option, and just ran the bar and restaurants there for a number of years, for about 7, 8 years. I had an opportunity. There are some other business things that I did, but had an opportunity to get back in lending in end of 2016 with my wife over at Home Street Bank, and
Great
jump
company.
back in at that opportunity. It really is. I really love
Yeah.
that, the bank. Great people, just nothing but nice things to say about them. And when they got rid of their mortgage division in California in, I want to say end of 2018, I went over briefly to Guaranteed Rate for a couple months. That was not my cup of tea. My wife stayed there. And then to Flagstar Bank, which I stayed at for 3 years before recently coming over here and hanging out with you, Steve. So
Well, I'm glad you're here. And I remember you called me. I was driving to Mammoth, and it was one of those surprise calls. I was like, "Oh, Cooper's calling." And my kids, I was like, "Be quiet. I want to hear what Cooper has to say." I was nice about it. But I remember you said, "Hey, I'm popping my head up. I want to learn some more things about Loan Depot." And we had talked a few times before, but like, what were some of the important things when you were looking outside of Flagstar? Because again, great company, great leadership, but you seeing the market, what was going on, it almost felt like you needed more to be able to tackle what was going on.
yeah, so I have a lot of respect for Ryan Shea and Susan over there. Really enjoyed them, but the bank itself just was not set up to handle and facilitate me doing good volume. So from that standpoint, I needed a place that had better systems in place, that were more streamlined, and technology is such a huge crucial part of that. I needed something where the online process for the clients and everything else was just much more streamlined and efficient. My problem, I had the business, I had the relationships, I just couldn't squeeze any more business through the system that I had over there. So I needed a system that was going to allow me to kind of open up and hit my potential. So I looked at, having my wife working at Guaranteed Rate, and I looked at some of the other places and opportunities out there. And it just seemed like Loan Depot, you had a lot going for it. I love the technology, great builder programs, which I think is still going to be a very large avenue for business here moving forward. Maybe not as much in some spots in Southern California, but in other spots, it's going to be a huge part of business, at least for the next 8 to 10 years. So that was important. And then just support. I wanted, a place where people were fun and excited to be at work, and just kind of, I wanted the workplace to just have a feel alive. The banks sometimes just feel like you're hanging out in your grandpa's living room and they've been smoking all day and just drinking scotch. And, that's just not the level of excitement that I was looking for. I'm not ready to retire. And I wanted to have an opportunity to grow my business and just kick some ass still. So
No, I'm glad
I
you're
thought
here.
Loan Depot was a good fit.
Total sidebar, but I was in our Mello lab today. We had a recruit in from out of town, and I hadn't been there in 2 years because of COVID. It was shut down, but we're doing on-sites now. And you would have been there too, actually, if it was open. It's kind of a cool experience. But the direct-to-consumer group is downstairs. The IT people are upstairs. And it's like there were meetings in every conference room, people smiling. Just you could tell all the connectivity. And it didn't feel like a mortgage company. It felt like a tech company, but it was just the energy in the place was rad. And it just felt so good to be around people that were excited to A, be here, B, doing what they're doing, having fun with it. And it totally jazzed me up. I think we got to get you up there at some point pretty soon.
Yeah, no, but you struck on something that's huge. You have these big banks, and the mortgage divisions are kind of a side note to what they are as a bank. Not that it doesn't drive revenue a lot of times and things along those lines, but it's not what it's about. Whereas Loan Depot is all about mortgages and connecting people with mortgages, and that's all we do. So it's nice to have a place where you can really feel that, and you feel like, yeah, okay, we're the tip of the spear here.
Yeah, it was funny too. Melissa spoke for a little while, and I guess we're rolling out a new process at Disclosure that the automated engine will look to clear conditions or generate new conditions on things that, like, if somebody has a second property and it shows up on their report and it wasn't disclosed in application, it'll catch it and suggest like, hey, we might need to figure this out. So there's a whole lot more automation coming out that just at point of sale, at disclosure, gives you so much information that like you're not going to get any whammies down the road, and you can address it. And just how ops is pulled into the process as well, because everybody's communicating to the customer. And it was just, I walked away like, God, everything's about freeing up your time, minimizing duplicate, people doing duplicate things in different ways so that the customer experience can be great, because that has to be, and B, that the experience for you as an originator, doing the loan and shepherding that person through the process is also just feels better.
Yeah, you just, you don't have to keep going back to the borrower for a million zillion things that maybe you should have caught initially. And that is such a big piece too, because at the end of the day, most of this mortgage business is moving towards automation. So you're going to have a big subset of borrowers that really could go anywhere because they're W-2, they have simple financials. So it's about the experience they have, and that's ultimately going to be the value that you bring to it. Now, there's obviously the more complicated files, and I think there's always, room and a very high level of importance to have someone on the other end of the phone to talk to explain things. And that's always going to be there. But yeah, with a lot of these clients, I mean, they can get a very high level of service. It'll be a very efficient experience for them, and it'll make them want to come back and refer.
What is the technology done for you so far that's different from being on an Encompass platform, which still the majority of the industry is on, just at like some of the simple things that you felt so far?
Yeah. So, I mean, the big simple things for me is I have a lot of clients that are signing up for the asset and income instant sort of link and verification. And that is huge because I'm not chasing bank statements at the end of a deal, trying to, source the escrow deposit that they did and all that stuff. Their account's already linked. So we just go in there, pull it in, and it's done. It's just done. I would say now that I've gone through a few of the closings, I am blown away when a file goes to docs, it's just done. I mean, at the bank, the file would go to docs, we'd get them back and we'd be in funding. And I honestly would have a list of conditions like I was starting underwriting all over again. Oh. Here at Loan Depot, it's done. We get the docs back and that loan is funded. The customer's happy, escrow's happy. Everyone is very, very happy. There's not this huge line of funding conditions that just make people hate you at the end of the process.
That's huge. I bought a place in December, and previously I'd done a refi on an Encompass platform when we worked together, but I did my loan through Loan Depot. And even as a customer, I was like, wow, this is really easy. I did the app on my phone. I put in my usernames and passwords, like you said. So it sucked in, I think it's 90 days of data, right? Or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
And it took me 7 minutes start to finish, retirement accounts, bank accounts, and whatever else it asked for it. And then I talked to the loan officer, and like 12 minutes after that, I was timing it because I was like, hey, I've got a cool story to tell. I'm going through the process myself. 12 minutes after I had my application done, I had a pre-approval letter for a property I was buying in Mammoth. And it was just like, it was so fast. And if it frees up my time and it freed up their time, it's just, you have time to work-life balance, maybe have some fun, take care of your kids, or make some calls to builders, realtors, customers, and do more deals. And I think that's the efficiency. And I think the word's been overused, but it really is it's a fact that you get more time back because a lot of the technology is really doing what technology is supposed to do.
Yeah, no, it is. And it allows you to do your job. I mean, ultimately, I don't have a job here at Loan Depot because, I'm great at data entry and I can do all of those things. But really my job and where my value lies is being able to explain to clients and borrowers and business partners about the loan programs and how we want to tackle their particular situation, not stuck in the office, typing numbers and, trying to push paper. That's that's just not where my expertise needs to be spent. And I'm finding that that's going to be the case here. It's going to open the doors. And, I think just all my business partners and clients will be able to have a better experience and just a better value from my time.
That's awesome to hear. Hey, two more things I wanted to ask about. One, like 2022 is a crazy year. We're dealing with margin compression, rates going up. Like, what are some of the things you're excited about? Because I think it's still a ton of opportunity out there.
Boy, well, I'm excited that I think these rates going up, it's going to push a ton of people off the fence. And I think this year, if you did have a strong purchase sort of forward business and you did have those relationships with realtors and business partners, I think this year is going to be a great year for you. So I'm excited that, I think a lot of people will kind of get off that fence. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to just a very strong purchase business and really being able to work with my business partners that I've built these relationships with. That's definitely going to be the highlight. The rest of it, I mean, it's some real challenges with rates and some other things. Communication, you're just going to have to communicate constantly. And if you're set up for that and you're okay with talking to people about what's really going on and where the markets really are and set realistic expectations, I think you're going to find that the people that can do that, they're going to have a breakout year and they're going to leave people in the dust. The people that, just wanted to sit back and do the easiest refi on the planet and not do any real work or build any real relationships, they're going to have some real struggles this year. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. These are the types of year that really make your business.
Total breakout years for people like you that have a strong purchase book. Well, it's fun to be on the same team as you. I know for the next day and a half, we're going to be in branch manager meetings. So I'm looking forward to hanging with you and just appreciate you being here. And I'm excited to see what you're able to do. And Grant and I are going to do some recruiting for you too. So if stuff pops up, we know you and we'll run it by you. And if you're ready, cool. If not, we'll just plant seeds for the future.
Hey, sounds great. Super excited to be here and look forward to hanging with you guys here in the next couple of days.
Yep. All right, Cooper, thank you. You have a great day and appreciate your time.
Likewise, Steve. Take care. See you soon.